Hey, bibliophiles and sports fans. Today, we're stepping onto the Olympic stage, but instead of focusing on the thrill of victory, we're examining the shadows lurking behind those glittering spectacles. Our guide for this sobering journey is Will Jennings' insightful book, Olympic Risks. Get ready to uncover the hidden costs, the complex power dynamics, and the ever present threat of disasters that organizers must grapple with when hosting the world's largest peacetime event. The Olympics, a risky business. The Olympics are often presented as a celebration of athletic excellence, international cooperation, and human potential. But as Jennings compellingly argues, they also come with a staggering amount of risk. From terrorism to financial ruin, from political scandals to environmental disasters, the Olympics are a high stakes gamble for both the host city and the International Olympic Committee, IOC. The rise of risk management, a new era of Olympic governance. Jennings traces the evolution of Olympic risk management, highlighting how the growth and complexity of the Games have led to an increasing emphasis on mitigating potential harms. He argues that the traditional approach to governing the Olympics, which relied on elite networks and informal practices, has been replaced by a more formalized and professionalized approach, where risk assessment, insurance, and contingency planning are central to every stage of the process. The four types of Olympic risk. Jennings identifies four key categories of risk that Olympic organizers must address: financial and economic risks. This encompasses everything from budget overruns and exchange rate fluctuations to the potential for economic recession and the loss of revenue from commercial activities like broadcasting rights and sponsorship. Political and governmental risks. This includes political boycotts, government instability, military crises, protests, and the potential damage to the reputation of the government and organizations involved. Infrastructural risks. This covers risks to transportation networks, power, supplies, airport capacity, and potential fraud, as well as the threat of natural disasters and social and economic legacies. Operational risks. This encompasses risks associated with the core business functions of the Games, including ticketing, crowd management, accreditation, VIP, services, media, workforce accommodation, legal contracts, and the scale and complexity of the Olympic program. Decision making under uncertainty, the challenge of Olympic planning. Slide. The book delves into the complexities of decision making under uncertainty, exploring the psychological biases and organizational pressures that can lead to poor planning and cost overruns. Jennings highlights the tendency towards optimism bias, where organizers are overly optimistic about outcomes and underestimate the likelihood of risks. He also discusses the anchoring effect, where decisions are based on past experiences or readily available information, even if it's not relevant to the current context. Furthermore, he explores the influence of sunk costs, which can lead organizers to persist with a project, even when it becomes clear that it's not financially viable. Counting the costs and the benefits, a contested terrain. The book provides a critical analysis of the methods used to measure the economic impact of the Olympics, exposing the limitations of traditional cost-benefit analysis and the often misleading use of multipliers. Jennings argues that many of the claimed benefits of hosting the Games, such as increased tourism and trade, are often temporary and fail to materialize in the long run. He also highlights the significant costs associated with hosting, including the burden of debt and the potential for underutilized infrastructure. The shifting landscape of Olympic governance, from club rule to risk management. Jennings traces the historical evolution of Olympic governance, highlighting the shift from club rule in the early years, where decisions were made by elite networks and informal practices, to the regulatory state of the late 20th century, where formal rules, standardized procedures, and risk management systems became increasingly prominent. He argues that this shift was driven by a number of factors, including the growing scale and complexity of the Games, the rise of mass media, and the increasing influence of corporate interests. The Olympics and the Risk Society, a reflection of our times. The book concludes by examining the Olympics within the broader context of the Risk Society, where anxieties about terrorism, environmental disasters, and economic instability are pervasive. Jennings argues that the Olympics are not only a reflection of these anxieties, but also a contributor to them, as the Games themselves generate new risks and uncertainties. He calls for a more critical and nuanced approach to risk management, one that recognizes the limits of prediction and control and the need for greater transparency and accountability. In summary, Olympic Risks is a fascinating and timely read that provides a much needed reality check on the Olympic dream. It's a must read for anyone interested in the complex interplay of sports politics, economics, and risk management. What are your thoughts on the risks associated with hosting the Olympics? Can the Games be organized without incurring significant costs and negative consequences? Let's discuss in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more critical explorations of the world of sports.